as co-minister and president of the board of the Leadership Council, to invite our vice president of our Leadership Council and close to be newly installed staff minister, Reverend Kathy Scharmer, from Milpitas, California, to come and join. She has a resume that would be longer than her sermon, so I will let her tell you about herself.
Thank you, Reverend Linda. And thank you, Shirley. It's such a beautiful, beautiful prayers you did. So May we're in now, almost ready to move into June. I love this time of year. Yeah, and we've been having some beautiful weather up here, haven't we?
Yeah.
I was teasing Reverend Linda and Reverend Love. I just brought my California weather with me, right? We've had enough of this rain out here in Oregon. Get some sunshine going. I think it's supposed to hit the 80s today, so that's awesome. Yeah, and in California, I'm very, very blessed to have a pomegranate tree in my backyard.
Oh.
And it is the most beautiful orange blooms right now. And I never knew that about pomegranates until we had one. And I'd sit in the mornings, I have my coffee out there, and I just look at this beautiful, beautiful tree. And I start thinking about all the different ways this one tree shows up. And it's just beautiful blooms right now, but in the winter, my cat has got a scratching post to beat the band, right? They just go up and down this tree trunk. And then in the winter, of course, I harvest all these pomegranates. A couple of years back, we actually counted them. I kind of do that. And we had like 200 pomegranates. I had jam, I had the seeds in salads, I made some jelly, John made some ice cream, I made some cheesecake, and we had pomegranate for days. But it got me thinking, this one tree can show up so many ways. As a scratching post, as beautiful blooms, as a fruit that looks great on the tree, and all the things that I was able to do about it. What about me? And I said, well, I show up a whole bunch of different ways too. Mm-hmm. I'm almost a staff minister here at Emerald Valley. Woo-hoo! I'm also a regional representative for home office. I'm a wife. I'm a stepmom. I'm an aunt. I'm a sister. I'm a teacher. I'm a mentor. And yet, all of those elements is not who I really am. I stay consistent in my being as being one with the one. Mm-hmm. As each and every one of you are as well. Mm-hmm. There's a core to all of us that is divine. And when I remember that, oh, life just comes up roses, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Yes. And sometimes I forget. And sometimes I forget. And often when I think about all these different roles, I flash back on one of my favorite movies of all time, The Wizard of Oz. Mm-hmm. There is actually a workshop I'm going to be doing in a couple weeks. It'll be online and on Thursday evenings. That is The Wizard of Us, using a book written by Jean Houston. And it looks at how we are the Scarecrow and the Tin Man. We're Dorothy. We're Toto. And each and every one of us has got so many ways that we show up. And yet when we come down to our core, we're all the same. Mm-hmm. And it's that oneness of life, right? That beautiful, beautiful part of who we are, the one in the one. But I only feel that when I remember. Mm-hmm. I forget. And often when I forget, I get plagued with self-doubt. And when I'm doubting myself, I'm then adding another wall to my connection with the divine. Because if I believe that God exists inside me, which I do, and I doubt myself, who am I doubting? Am I doubting God? Well, I'd never say that. I'd never use those words. But how many times, oh, I don't think I can do that. I've never tried that one before, maybe not. And I doubt my own ability. And when I'm connected, I go straight to God. And with God, all things are possible. With Kathy, all things are possible. With each and every one of you, all things are possible. But I need to remember. And I also need to look at this self-doubt. It's just part of me, right? I mean, there's no distinction between that emotion and hunger or tiredness. And yet there's judgment we put to self-doubt. If I don't feel sure, well, I'm less than. Something's wrong with me. I need to get more confidence. Put on my big girl panties, right? And just grow up. And yet, what if the very thing that I didn't like about myself, the universe needed? So rather than deny this part of me, this humanity that is filled with self-doubt all the time, what if I embraced it? What if I said, well, I'm hungry and I eat something. I'm tired, I go to sleep. When I have self-doubt, what do? And that was where my thought process went. What do I do? So before I tell you what I do, what do you all do?
Right.
Right? Awesome. What else?
Meditate.
Meditate, sure.
Talk to a friend.
Talk to a friend, absolutely.
Journal.
Journal.
Music.
Dance.
Dance.
Get a massage.
What was that?
Get a massage.
Get a massage. Oh, woman after my own heart then. We all have ways of moving past the self-doubt. And I have to confess, I've used all of those at various times. For me, sometimes they don't work. Even as a minister, I know to meditate, to journal, to make my affirmations, to write, to dance, to listen to music, to get a massage. And I still stay stuck. When he says big things, right? And the little day-to-day stuff, we got that. But those big things, it's those moments that we can borrow the belief of someone else in us. Now, I was very, very fortunate that I had a mentor for 6 years by the name of Reverend Abigail Shad, who started Sister Spirit, goodness, maybe 15 years ago. And she saw in me something I didn't see in me. I had a vision during Sister Spirit to become a minister. I can't do that. I'm not good enough to be a minister. Oh my goodness. Talk to someone else about the divine, about the oneness, about this beautiful, beautiful concept that I've lived my life with. Who am I to say anything to anyone else about that? I'm not worthy. And Abigail, Reverend Abigail, said, yes, you are. I see your magnificence. I see something in you that you may not see in yourself, but there's a radiant, bright light to you. And I know that is your true essence. And that's what today's talk about, is maintaining that radiant, bright light that each of us is. We all have that. We all have that. And I'd surmise, looking around here, all of you at least once in your life have felt that radiant bright light. Yeah, look around. But it fades, doesn't it? And yet it doesn't. It doesn't really fade. It's just we stop thinking about it. We lose track of it. And I look back now thinking, to not be a minister, I played with this idea off and on for 20 years before Reverend Abigail actually encouraged me to pursue it. And we all need those people in our lives that help us move past self-doubt. Because self-doubt can be a doorway to learning about ourselves. And as we learn more about ourselves, we strengthen the connection to this divine part of ourselves. For with all the various faces that each of us put out into the world, there's that core of divinity that never changes. That is that one in the one. That is that radiant, bright light. And you know, all through ministerial school, I just doubted whether I could do this. Until I didn't. And that's what happens when we believe in this oneness. As Michael Beckwith would say, Dr. Michael Beckwith, pain will push you until the vision starts to pull. I had gotten to a place in my life where the pain of living in the shadows was too great, questioning my every action, doubting my worth in this world. I said, but I am somebody. I am worth something. I don't need to doubt this. And the vision then of saying, well, if that's true, then you could be a minister, right? Well, I don't know about that one. That's kind of scary. And Abigail believed. And because of that, I went through the full ministerial program. Actually, Soup to Nuts, it's a 5-year program. So it's, it's something that you really have to be committed at. My poor darling husband here wondered if he had a wife at one point. You seen Kathy? Oh, she's studying. What's Kathy up to? Oh, she's studying. Can Kathy come out and play? No, she's studying. 5 years of that. 5 years of that. But it taught me to love myself as I show up, filled with all the self-doubts that are there, and to go back to my radiant, bright self, to be the one in the one. Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, would say, our mind must be steady in its conviction that our life is some part of God and that the Spirit is incarnated in us. So the way through self-doubt, when you get stuck like I was, is to accept it, to not banish it, to meet it without shame, welcoming doubt as an opportunity to learn more about yourself. And as we learn about ourselves, we naturally learn about the others in our world. It just goes hand in hand. So to maintain this radiant, bright light, we accept all aspects of ourselves. And when we struggle with that, find someone that you can borrow their faith in you. There's a story that came into my Facebook page a while ago about Ed Sullivan. Remember him back from the 50s? And he had brought on this 11-year-old little boy to play the accordion on his show. Now just picture this 11-year-old kid, full-size accordion, comes up to his chin, goes down to his knees. He's standing on the stage. The lights are blinding him. He knows that the room is filled with people, and he's just kind of looking out at them. Well, somebody started to giggle. And someone else did a small little guffaw. And pretty soon, there were chuckles going all through the room, all through the studio. Now, Ed Sullivan's off stage, right? His protocol was to be over on the sidelines. Well, he's watching what's going on. And he had a decision to make. Do I do what I'm supposed to do and stay here in the sidelines and let the performer perform, or not? Ed Sullivan chose not. He came out onto the stage, put his hand on this young man's shoulder, and he said, you know, some of you were laughing. I heard you. More importantly, this young man heard you. You think of the courage that it has taken him to be 11 years old and to share with all of you something that he loves. And how do you all respond? How many of you would have the courage to be up here with the lights and the camera, millions of people watching you? I want you to give this man the respect that he deserves. Not polite, obligatory respect, but the type that you would want if you were standing right here. Now here's Ed Sullivan. At that time, he was the most powerful person in variety television, calling out his audience for cruelty. He turns to the young man. What's the name of the piece you're going to be playing? And the boy just kind of looks up at Ed Sullivan and whispers to Tarantella, Bella, Tarantella. Ed Sullivan takes a step back, does not leave the stage, gives the boy front stage, stands in that classic Ed Sullivan, hands across his chest, a silent sentinel. And the boy started playing. And the music that came out of this accordion just stopped the audience cold. No more mocking, no more laughter. They were in awe. The piece Tarantella, it's not a folk song, it is a virtuoso piece. It is fast, it is lively. It takes skills beyond an 11-year-old's to do this music. And the audience is just in awe. When the final notes ring out from this young man, there's a moment of silence. And any of you who are performers know that is the highest form of compliment, where the audience is still feeding on what has gone on. And then the applause started and got louder and louder, and people stood up and they cheered. And here's this young man who was shaking, literally shaking with self-doubt, letting his light shine, letting himself be the radiant light that he knew himself to be. And it was because Ed Sullivan saw him in the way that he needed to be seen. Not as an 11-year-old child, not as a comical figure, but as truly that radiant light that he is. And years later, when he was interviewed, his name was Antonio Moretti, he would be asked, what was the turning point in your life? That it was the Ed Sullivan Show. And it wasn't because of the people that saw me and the exposure I got. It's because Ed Sullivan really saw me, saw whom I am at my core, believed in me more than I believed in myself. And that gift of being seen, of being protected, changed how Antonio Moretti saw his own life. He went on to become a master accordion player, playing in concert halls, on cruise ship, teaching, having hundreds of students over his lifetime. And all because somebody saw his radiant light, even when he was not able to see it for himself. So I would like to ask all of you to look at yourselves as the manifestations of this one perfect, complete divine. And to know that we are all human. We have doubts. So let those doubts be a window to look through, to get more clear on who you really are. For that's when we will then become more clear on who God is. And in those moments when you get frozen by self-doubt, borrow the belief of someone else. And then turn that around. And when you see people in your realm of influence who may doubt their own capability, lend them your belief. There are many, many programs out there, recovery programs that say the person going through recovery doesn't believe they can do it. Borrow the group's belief. Be both sides of that. Borrow someone else's belief and watch your environment for who needs that encouraging word, a hug, sometimes just a smile, eye-to-eye contact. Be the one in the one. Be that radiant light. Let us pray. Oh, Father, Mother, God, the divine within, the power within, this beautiful energy that courses through my system, courses through everyone on this planet system, whether they know it or not. It's this divine energy, the God within, the power within. And when each and every one of us knows that connection, feels that divine energy, we operate in a better way. We see this bright and radiant light all around us. We honor our own bright and radiant light, no matter how many doubts or other emotions come up. We know that we are whole, perfect, and complete. And so I say thank you, Spirit. Thank you for this knowledge. Thank you for these lessons. Thank you for each and every person in this room and your radiant, bright light. And so it is.
So it is.